Hi everyone, this is Yvonne Zakim. I've had a request today to do a recording and talk about my recent visit to the Arctic and my connection with the polar bears and why I was invited to go to the research island of New Alison. I work with animals, as you know, and quite often I get a connection with spiritual animals. And I had a polar bear come through and want to speak with me. And I was invited to go to the Arctic to have a discussion with them, which, as you can imagine, was quite a um, major thing when I got this request through. I had no idea how I was going to get to the Arctic, bearing in mind that I live in Hastings in East Sussex in the UK. So that was the first challenge. And sometimes I get these requests through where I don't actually have to go and visit the animals. Like I can just connect with them from a distance, as I have done with the humpback whales, which will be something I will be talking about during this conversation as well. So back to the polar bears. So I put it out that if I really needed to go to the polar bears, there would be a way that would be open to get me there. Knowing nothing about it, my image of the Arctic was snow, ice, obviously polar bears, sledges, huskies, and not the most pleasant of place to visit to. So I had absolutely no idea of how I was going to get there. And at that time, we were sweltering in about 90 degrees sun here. So I just couldn't get my head around any of it. So I just kind of put it to one side. And then I kept having this polar bear appear in my dreams and asked him what I needed to do. And he said, you need to come to the Arctic. So that's what I did. I put out there again, and as happens when you're in line with the universe, things just miraculously fall in place. And what happened was my husband is a singer and pianist and works on the cruise ships. And as luck had it, his cruise ship was heading out to the Arctic. So I thought, perfect, I can join him. And there I would go off to the Arctic and have a wonderful cruise all through the Norwegian fjords. And that is exactly what I did. I managed to get onto the cruise ship with my husband, and we went up. And I said I needed to go to New Alison, and needless to say, that was the last stop that we did. So when I arrived at New Alison, I didn't realise it was just a research station. There was no snow, no polar bears, nothing, just scientists doing their research. So it was really interesting to talk to them about what they thought was happening with the polar bears and what was happening with the Arctic. And interesting, one of the scientists we were speaking with was saying the cruise ships actually are one of the biggest polluters of the Arctic. So that will be the last time that I will be using a cruise ship to go all the way up to the Arctic, just because of that. And it was reassuring to hear that they were saying that they are getting less and less, but they're caught between a rock and a hard place because they need the money for their research. Obviously, the cruise ships bring in a lot of revenue, but then balancing that against what the environmental issues are. So it's one of those good old political things. But it is at least being addressed, so that's good now. So all around New Alison are zones where you're not allowed to go unless you've got an armed person with you or carry a rifle yourself, because the possibility of meeting the polar bears, and they are dangerous. And what they were saying is that the ice has actually receded in the last 10 years, way beyond. I mean, we saw glaciers, but they certainly weren't where we imagined them to be, and we were able to actually travel a lot further inland than I thought was possible. And so just sitting quietly and meditating and connecting. What the bear, I had a huge male bear come through in my vision, and was saying that they're okay. This is all part of the evolution of the earth. and that they will adapt. They will either go back to being brown from brown bears. They didn't seem that it would be, that difficult a thing to gradually start to reintroduce themselves to eating a different diet. And over the generations, they feel that they could revert back. There was also the opportunity, as they said, of scavenging, of going into the villages and eating what us people happily leave lying around, which obviously is going to cause conflict, because polar bears and people don't seem to get on so well. So I was just pointing that fact out to him to be very careful, because all of the rubbish bins, everything is polar bear proof. I mean, everything is locked down, because they will come in and they will scavenge, of course. It was more interesting that what he turned around and said is it that we should be the ones that were taking more and paying more attention to what and who we are being and how we are needing to evolve and change. And that seems to be the messages that I'm getting from the animals all over the place, from our domestic animals to the polar bears to the whales. It is the whole about looking after the human animal and looking at what we're doing and not worrying about fixing them, because they are already knowing what they need to do and are quite okay with that. So on that note, I thanked him very much and went back to enjoying going out on the dog sleighs and just enjoying being in New Alison. And then it reminded me when I was talking to somebody that I'd also had a message come through from a white humpback whale, who said, I thought he was going to be in the Arctic, but he said that he was off the coast of New South Wales, Australia. So I said, I probably won't be coming to see you for a while then. And he said, no, that's okay. But what he wanted to convey when I said I was going to the Arctic is that he said that the reason, as the Arctic is melting, as we know, or if you're not aware, water carries memory. And there's a wonderful Japanese man, Dr. Yoka, I think his name is, that has actually photographed water and how our thoughts influence it. So he took pictures of photos of water when love has been sent to it and photos of water when hate has been sent to it, and the differences are quite amazing. The one with love is pure and like a snowflake, and the one where hate has been sent to it and anger is a horrible yellow, mucky, clogged up crystal. And so, yeah, very interesting. And forgive me if I haven't got his name right, but I'm sure if you Googled water crystals, you will find it. But what came through again with that, from the humpback, was that as the water melts from the Arctic, it's releasing memories back into the oceans, and this carries healing codes. And the whales, as they travel up to the Arctic, are connecting with the water, obviously, and the DNA connections, the codes that are in the water that's being released from the ice. And what they're then able to do is, with their songs, is to, if you've ever seen humpback whales singing on the television, you'll find that they actually support themselves off the bottom of the ocean and sing into the ocean, which is the vibration which then travels around all of the oceans, and can travel across one ocean to another. And what they're doing is putting the codes from the water into the energy lines of the earth, which is the healing force. So I know it's quite profound. It might sound a little wacky, but I'm the voice of the animals, and I can only share with you what it is that I received, and that is what I have been requested to do. So all in all, yes, change is happening, but then change is constant. Nothing ever stays the same. And I hope that this perhaps give you a little bit of comfort to know that Mother Earth looks after herself. She knows what she needs to heal her. And that the important message is for us to be aware of who we are being responsible for who we're being and how we're contributing to the upkeep of Mother Earth, and who we are being ourselves. And to me, it's about connecting back to our intuitive selves, the selves that know, like the animals, what it is that we need. Each one of us has our own code inside of us, our own blueprint, and it is only us that knows what each of us needs as an individual. We are all able to heal ourselves, although I don't believe that we're broken, so I don't believe we need fixing. I think what we sometimes need is support, because our emotions have become such a powerful part of us, and they to me are the fundamental underlying causes of our physical diseases, physical imbalances. Behind every physical imbalance there will be an emotional attachment, and so working with the animals, that is what I'm focused on now, is being able to assist people to recognize their emotional baggage, and then giving them the tools to release it so that they can move on and create the life that they want and deserve. So very, very exciting. I hope you enjoy this talk. I was inspired by the animals to share this with you, and hopefully I will be back again with a message from them again to share with you. So for now, my name's Yvonne Zackham. Thank you for listening.